She answered a call from beneath her floor. And it knew her name. Mara had lived in the house on Harlow Street for only 9 days when the first call came. It was 3:09 a.m. That hour when even the crickets fall silent and the air feels heavy, as if the world is holding its breath. Her phone buzzed against the nightstand, its glow slicing through the dark. The number was unfamiliar, just a row of zeros. She frowned, thumb hovering over the screen. No one good ever calls at that hour. Still she answered. "Hello." For a few seconds, only static filled the line. Then came a whisper, faint, shaky, almost childlike. "Why did you bury me here?" Mara froze. "What?" The voice didn't repeat itself. The static grew louder, then the call ended. She lay awake until dawn, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding. Maybe it was a prank, some late-night creep or crossed signal. But when she checked her call log in the morning, there was nothing there. No record. That was the first time. The second came 2 nights later. Same hour, same number, same question. "Why did you bury me here?" This time, she hung up before the whisper finished. After that, she started sleeping downstairs, or trying to. The old house groaned at night, expanding and settling like a tired animal. But the sounds began to shape themselves into rhythm. Tapping, dragging, always from the same spot in the floor, just below the living room rug. By the 5th night, Mara couldn't ignore it. She pulled the rug aside and knelt, pressing her ear to the wood. There was again faint, wet breathing. She bolted upright, shaking. The floor was cool under her palms, but she could swear the boards pulsed slightly, like the slow beat of a buried heart. The next day, she called her neighbor Mr. Kellen, a retired carpenter who had lived next door for decades. He shuffled over that afternoon, tool belt hanging loose at his waist. "You say the floor's moving. I just feel it. And the phone calls. They're coming from," she hesitated. "Inside the house, I think." Kellen frowned, knocking gently on the boards. "These are newer than the rest. Someone patched this section." "When?" He squinted. "Can't say for sure. Not in my time here." That night, Mara unplugged her phone before bed. But when she woke, the screen glowed anyway. 3:09 a.m. The number again. Her hands trembled as she answered. The voice this time wasn't whispering. It was laughing, a soft, bubbling laugh that scraped at her nerves. Then it said her name. Slowly, deliberately. "Mara." She dropped the phone. It slid under the couch, still glowing faintly. The voice continued, muffled now, but somehow closer. She could hear it whispering from beneath the floorboards. By morning, Mara's nerves were threadbare. She hadn't slept. The phone sat face down on the kitchen table, its battery dead, but she could still hear faint echoes in her head. That laugh, her name, spoken in her own voice. She needed answers. When the sun rose, she found herself outside again, knocking on her neighbor's door. Kellen answered with a mug of coffee in one hand and suspicion in his eyes. "You look like hell," he muttered. "I need to know who owned that house before me," she said. "The realtor told me it had been empty for years, but someone patched the floor." "You said that yourself." He rubbed his chin. "You're talking about the old Whitaker place." "Yeah, it sat empty for a long time after the accident." "Accident?" He hesitated. "You didn't hear about that before you bought it?" Mara shook her head. "About 20 years ago. Woman lived there alone. Her name was Evelyn Whitaker. Folks said she went missing one winter. No sign of struggle, no blood. Just gone. Police searched everywhere but never found her. Husband had died a few years before. No kids." Mara felt her stomach twist. Was she ever found? Kellen sipped his coffee, eyes drifting toward her house. No. They just stopped looking. He paused. You sure that's where the sound's coming from? Beneath the floor? Yes. Maybe you should talk to Clara Munn. She works down at the Historical Society. Keeps all the old property records. If anyone knows what happened, it's her. The Historical Society sat 2 blocks from the river, an old brick building that smelled of dust and secrets. Clara was already there when Mara arrived. A small woman in her 60s, hair in a silver braid, her desk buried beneath stacks of files. When Mara introduced herself and mentioned the Whitaker house, Clara's smile faltered. Oh, she said quietly. That house. Mara nodded. You know about it. I know more than I want to. Clara pulled open a drawer and slid out a faded folder, its edges soft from handling. Inside were yellowed photographs. The house, decades younger, standing proud among bare winter trees. This was taken in 1987, Clara said. Evelyn Whitaker disappeared that year. They said she'd been unwell for months. Hearing things, talking to herself. She'd lost a child before that. A little girl named Mara. The air left Mara's lungs. What? Clara didn't notice her expression. She was already pulling out another document, a death certificate. Child died in the house. Carbon monoxide leak in the basement, they said. The husband sealed it up afterward. When Evelyn went missing, they tore part of the floor to inspect for damage, then replaced it. But there were rumors. Mara swallowed. What kind of rumors? That she'd gone mad. That she blamed herself. And that some nights, neighbors swore they could hear her talking to the little girl again. From under the floorboards. Mara's vision blurred. Her hands shook. You said the child's name was Mara? Yes, Clara said gently. Coincidence, I'm sure. But maybe you should leave that place alone. That night, the air in the house felt thick. The smell of damp wood clung to every corner. Mara sat on the couch, staring at the spot where she'd first heard the breathing. Evelyn, she whispered. What happened to you? Her phone buzzed on the table. Battery 2%. No charger plugged in. The screen lit up. 3:09 a.m. Her reflection in the window stared back, pale and trembling. The phone vibrated once more, and the floor shuddered beneath her feet. She answered. This time there was no whisper, no static, just her own voice, soft and tired. I remember now. Mara froze. Who are you? You know who I am, the voice said. You built the walls to forget me. You buried me with the others. What others? The line crackled. Then came another voice. Older, raspier, barely human. Help me, Mara. The sound shifted, no longer coming from the phone but from beneath the floor. Boards creaked. The air turned cold enough to sting. A single nail popped loose, then another. Something was pushing upward. Mara dropped the phone and ran for the door, wrenching it open. The night outside felt unreal. The street dark, silent, the moon unnaturally still. Across the road, Kellen's house was black. Not a single light on. Then, from behind her, the voice called again. Mara, don't run. You promised you'd never leave me again. He turned, and standing in the doorway was a figure. A woman, pale as dust, hair tangled with cobwebs, eyes wide with grief. Evelyn Whitaker. The woman stepped forward, her hands trembling, her voice cracking as she spoke. You shouldn't have come back, my little one. And then she smiled, a brittle, broken smile. Because Evelyn wasn't looking at Mara. She was looking through her. Mara couldn't move. Evelyn Whitaker stood framed in the doorway. Translucent, her form flickering like a reflection seen through rippling water. The air around her warped, bending the light until even the shadows seemed afraid to touch her. "I don't understand," Mara whispered. "You're dead." Evelyn tilted her head. "Dead? No, child. I've just been waiting." Her voice trembled, heavy with sorrow. "You left me here. You closed your eyes and forgot me." "I'm not your daughter," Mara stammered. "My name is—" Evelyn's lips curved upward faintly. "You always said that. Every time I found you." A sound echoed from deep within the house. A hollow, dragging scrape. The same sound that had haunted Mara's nights, now moving closer, circling beneath the floor like a restless tide. She backed away toward the door, but the moment she stepped outside, the air shifted. The street, the entire neighborhood, was gone. Only fog stretched in every direction, thick as wool. Behind her, the house groaned. Its windows pulsed faintly like eyes opening. Mara turned back. "What do you want from me?" Evelyn's figure flickered again, voice soft as dust. "The truth." Ran through the fog, down streets that bent and folded into themselves. Every corner led her back to the same place, the same house, the Whitaker house. It stood alone in a sea of gray, lights glowing faintly from its windows as though the inside were burning. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. 3:09 a.m. Her heart hammered as she answered, even though she knew she shouldn't. Her own voice spoke again, calm now, almost tender. "You can't escape a memory, Mara. You built this place so you wouldn't have to face it. But you sealed me in here with you." "What are you talking about?" she cried. The voice laughed softly, the sound of a child hiding behind the walls. "You were the one who buried us. You and your mother. Don't you remember the fire?" Mara's knees gave out. Images flickered, smoke, screams, a hand dragging her down a hallway. Cellar door. The sound of someone pounding on the other side. Her mother's voice frantic. "Stay down there. Don't breathe the smoke." Then blackness. When she opened her eyes again, she was standing back in the living room. Only the furniture was wrong. The wallpaper faded, peeling in long strips. A woman knelt in the center of the floor, hammer in hand. Evelyn Whitaker. Her face was streaked with tears. She was speaking softly, whispering to the floor. "It's all right, my love. Sleep now. Mommy's here." Mara stepped closer. The boards beneath Evelyn's hands were wet with something dark. Not blood, but tar, thick and glistening. The air buzzed with the sound of flies. And then Evelyn looked up, right at her. Not as a ghost this time, but alive. "Why did you come back, Mara?" she asked. "You said you wanted to stay with me forever." Mara's voice trembled. "You're not real. You're just—" But Evelyn smiled sadly. "Oh, child, neither are you." The house shuddered. The walls began to twist, wood and plaster folding inward as if the structure itself were breathing. The air filled with a faint hum of 100 overlapping whispers, buried voices, crying softly beneath the floor. Mara stumbled back. No, this isn't happening." Evelyn rose, her shadow stretching impossibly long. "You were never supposed to wake up, but you answered the call. You always do." The boards beneath Mara's feet splintered. Hands, pale, gray, and trembling, reached through, grasping at her ankles, her wrists, her throat. She screamed, tearing free, falling backward onto the rug. The phone lay there, buzzing violently. The screen showed her reflection, her face flickering between herself and the little girl in the photo from Clara's files. The girl's lips moved inside the glass. "Wake up!" The screen shattered. When Mara opened her eyes, she was sitting in a hospital bed. Sunlight poured through the window. The world was real again. The smell of antiseptic, the distant beep of a heart monitor. A man in a suit stood near the foot of her bed, holding a clipboard. His expression was careful, professional. "Miss Lorne," he asked, "do you remember what happened?" She blinked. "The house. The phone calls. Evelyn Whittaker." He exchanged a look with the nurse. "There's no Evelyn Whittaker. You were found in a condemned property last night. It hasn't been occupied in almost 20 years. You were alone." She shook her head. "No. I spoke to her. She was there. I heard." The nurse interrupted gently. "You suffered mild smoke inhalation. You're lucky the structure didn't collapse completely." The man sighed and set the clipboard down. "You said your name was Mara Whittaker when they found you, but your ID says Mara Lorne. Any reason for that?" Mara didn't answer. Her gaze drifted to the corner of the room, to the small dark patch on the linoleum floor, a smudge shaped like a handprint. Her pulse began to quicken. "I want to go home," she whispered. The man hesitated. "You mean to the house on Harlow Street?" She looked up sharply. "How do you know that address?" He frowned. "You said it when we brought you in." Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, annoyed, and froze. 3:09 a.m. Mara's breath caught. "You should hang up," she whispered. He gave her a puzzled look and answered anyway. "Hello." For a moment there was only static. Then his face drained of color. Slowly, he lowered the phone and looked at her. "They asked for you," he said. Mara's heart stopped. "What did they say?" The man swallowed hard. "They said, 'Why did you bury me here? If you ever move into a house that's too quiet, and your phone rings at 3:09 a.m., don't answer.' Some calls don't come from this world anymore. They come from the ones we've buried beneath our memories. If you're still listening, leave the lights on tonight, and subscribe for more stories from the dark."